the band from the '90s with Ed Kowalczyk, I think is his name.
You think?
Let's see, name of Live's lead singer.
Name of Live.
Ed Kowalczyk. Yep.
Ed.
That's his name.
Kowalczyk.
That is, if you want to know who the lead singer of Live is, Ed Kowalczyk.
Ed. So here's
Unrelated to our topic tonight.
I don't.
Do you Live?
Oh wait, maybe if I go to our channel. Yeah, there we are, live on our channel. Live on our YouTube channel.
Live.
Ed Kowalczyk is live.
Live. Twitch. Go to twitch.com. Head over to twitch.com/TV/Internety.
dash Internety.
Yeah.
And Internety to apathetic stream man. Are you just checking to see if we're live? We're live on Twitch. It's
I know,
happening.
but we gotta boost our numbers.
Those are rookie numbers. Gotta get those numbers up.
Yeah.
You just confessed to inflating our viewers on live on Twitch, Brandon.
Oh yeah. No, I know they're gonna be super mad at me.
Yeah, they're totally gonna never care about us. D Squeeze is here. Let's hear. And Sire's here. Sire VR. I get jokes. He gets them. The jokes he gets. Hey guys, look at what show we're doing tonight. Look, it's this show. It's this show right here. It's this show right here. It's been a while since we did this show, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I be honest? Like,
No.
When people say yes.
Yes.
No, it annoys me a little bit. Don't tell Chelsea, okay?
Yes. I'm gonna tell Chelsea.
Don't tell her. Don't tell her. No.
Chelsea.
No.
She can't hear me. She's not here. She's there.
Here you go. And that's good. That's good that you can't.
When I go to Verizon, I subscribe to all the podcasts on all the phone models.
That
is the best thing. You're getting a short out for that. That is happening now. That is on the show. I'm copying that. It's going into the show notes.
It is.
And there it is. That right off the top. That is amazing. When
we went to Adult Swim Fest in Los Angeles a couple years back, one of the things, like, we had a bunch of business cards, and it's like, do we hand out cards or do we put on windshields? And Travis was very like, well, I take that back. He wasn't like that. I was asking that, and he was very adamantly like, no, that's super tacky and you're gonna piss people off. I said, okay, I trust you. After I did some research to realize that yes, that in fact is a faux pas. Yeah. And then plus if people throw it on the ground, then we are charged for littering. Really, it's a win-win not to do it.
It's a lose-lose, some would say.
Some would say, unless you're the tax collecting state of California.
Let's not get into taxes, Brandon. Let's get into our podcast. You about ready to kick this baby off?
Before we get started, tonight is a celebration for those who are joining us. So I got my fancy glass for my delirium tremens. And
does it have little pink elephants on it?
It does, as a matter of fact. Sure does.
Wow. What does that say about me?
And I went to the liquor store earlier because believe it or not, I was there looking for milk. Because I was on my way home from work, and Chelsea said,
"Good old liquor milk."
She said, "Can you get me a half gallon of milk?" And I'm like, the closest thing to me was the liquor store, and I'm like, I'll go see if there's milk in there. And then I saw that there's Pringles. There's a can of Pringles, and I was hungry, so I'm like, well, I'm gonna buy a can of Pringles. But then I was like, I can't leave this place with just a can of Pringles, because that it seems weird. I go into a liquor store and all I'm buying is a can of Pringles. It seems weird. So I'm like, okay, well, let me get a Red Bull. I'll get a Red Bull too. Yeah, I should get some alcohol since I'm here. It looks weird,
When in Rome. When in Rome.
So I found this bottle of Tremon's, Delirium Red, cherry and elderberry, and I figured since tonight's a celebration, I'm gonna pop this bad boy open before we get started, and I'm gonna finish it up. I want to finish it up by tonight. Be late for work tomorrow. My boss is on quarantine, so he's not gonna be there. F it. Doesn't
Meanwhile,
matter.
I'm drinking Sweater Weather Sam Adams 76, a refreshing lager.
Please don't spill on me. Woo. Can you smell it? Can you smell it?
No, I can't.
No, I don't know how to pour this, so I apologize, everyone.
Liquor milk, so Bailey's. This is a picture of Bailey's. This is as close as you can get to Bailey's without getting your eyes wet.
All right.
Somebody know that reference. Post in the chat. Nope, not you, Brandon. Somebody post in the chat. Who says this is as close as you can get to Bailey's without getting your eyes wet? It's a picture.
I don't get that reference, to be honest.
You don't? Oh, okay. Well,
No.
that's a fun one. The answer will be revealed at the end of the program. It's old Greg. Sire Dark. I knew you'd come through.
Oh,
I knew you'd come through.
You love me.
All right. Are we ready now?
Yeah, I have to figure out where the music for this is.
Oh, shoot. I need to make sure I record this.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready to record whenever you are ready. I'm just going to start right now.
Oh, yeah. I'll start recording. Sure. I'll start recording.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, I'm
Matt's ready. Matt's ready.
Let me go ahead and put this Google search of Ed Kowalczyk away. The lead singer of Live. That was a conversation. If you came into the stream a little bit late, we were talking about going live.
Live.
Lead singer. Okay.
All right, you ready? I'm going to put the title card up to act like we weren't just goofing off for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. You ready? Okay. Any time now, Brandon.
In 5, 7.
You asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
Coming to you live from a 2 million Reddit subscriber celebration! 2 million years Reddit subscribing. WWW. You get it. You've been here long enough, and so have we. It's Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast.
Oh my goodness. We're back. Hello, everybody. I'm Travis.
Hey, everybody. I'm Brandon, and welcome back. This is our first episode of the podcast of Interdimensional RSS for 6 months or so. Maybe not that long.
No, it's been like 1 month. We did an episode a month ago.
Like 6 to 7 months ago. I can't tell you the last time we've done an episode of this podcast.
I looked at the show notes. It's been almost exactly a month. Just over a month.
Did you look at the show notes, or did you look at the timestamp on the show notes? Because I opened them up, and then it changes the timestamp.
You just randomly open up old show notes? Jeez.
Yeah, I love it.
Anyway, we talked about Bird Person comics a while ago. Maybe it was a month ago. I'm pretty sure it was about a month ago. Maybe 2. Anyway, we're back. We're going to talk a little bit of Rick and Morty tonight. Thank you guys so much for downloading, for streaming, for listening to this podcast. And hopefully you're enjoying a little break from Rick and Morty, and so that you can build up your anticipation for season 5 whenever it rolls around. If you want to follow us on social media, there are plenty of ways you can do that. You can head over to twitter.com/rickandmortypod. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/rickandmortypodcast. Is that still the URL, Brandon?
Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question. We can change it back.
Yeah, it's the Interdimensional RSS Facebook. You can't miss it. Cartoon Network certainly didn't. rickandmortypodcast@gmail.com. You can send us an email. Tell us the things you love about the show, the things you despise. Follow us all over the web. Of course, rickandmortypodcast.reddit.com. You can find us occasionally appearing on rickandmorty.reddit.com, the official Rick and Morty subreddit. Or go to rickandmortypod.com for all of the episodes of this podcast. We are currently streaming live over at youtube.com/apatheticenthusiasm and on twitch.tv/apatheticenthusiasm. We stream live every Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Whether we're doing Interdimensional RSS or Apathetic Enthusiasm, you can come hang out over there. And then you can support the show monetarily. You can head over to apatheticenthusiasm.com/shop. That will take you to our TeePublic page where we have lots of Rick and Morty t-shirts, as well as t-shirts with our faces on them and stuff from the show, stuff from the podcast. Go check it out over on TeePublic, or head over to patreon.com/apatheticenthusiasm, where you can support the show directly and get all kinds of bonus content. We post behind-the-scenes videos. Brandon has exclusive podcasts only for patrons. It's all kinds of greatness over there at patreon.com/apatheticenthusiasm. What are you saying?
It's me making that noise for as long as I can hold my breath. And every week you go back in, you're like, is he gonna
break?
Is he gonna surpass it? And you never know until that week.
He never does. He never does. Hasn't yet.
That exclusive, $30 a pop. Only on Patreon.
Absolutely. But yeah, Brandon, how you been? Are you excited to be doing this show again? Does it feel any different?
It does. It feels different because I'm wearing a button up, and I don't usually do that. But when you're celebrating such a massive achievement, you gotta get a little fancy. You gotta get fancy in the head, a little fancy in the bread. You know what I'm saying? I'm pointing at my chest when I say bread.
Bread. I don't think your bread chest.
My bread chest. That's right.
Right.
Soft, cuddly.
Yeah. It does. It feels different. Maybe just because we have so much planned out, like for the show, like we know so many things in advance that it has a different energy than an Apathetic Enthusiasm, but it's still all good. It's still fun. I'm gonna do something here, Brandon, and it's gonna challenge your recollection of how to perform on this podcast. But we're gonna go right into semi-pertinent news.
It's a semi-pertinent news. It's a semi-pertinent news.
I almost cut you off like 3 times. Never misses a beat. Consummate professional. Brandon Cruz, knowing to make up a song whenever I say semi-pertinent news. It's our first segment. It's our first segment. And it's been a little over a month, so we have things to talk about, Brandon. And the very first thing that we have to talk about is an Emmy Award awarded to none other than Rick and Morty for Outstanding Animated Series. The episode that was submitted for season 4, the Vat of Acid episode.
That's right.
Once again, proving that my favorite episode of the season is terrific.
Well, you're not wrong. Clearly, the Academy Awards thought it was
the Academy of Awards. That's who gives out Emmys. The Academy of Awards.
Yep. That's right. Nobel Peace Prize for Best Animated Series. The Pulitzer for Best Voice Acting in an Animated Series. All of it. Yes, for Vat of Acid episode. For those who've been out of the Rick and Morty loop for a long time, there was season 4, and there was an episode in season 4 called the Vat of Acid episode, written by Jeff Loveness, and it was great. It was great. Go back and check it out. In the next part of our semi-pertinent news, which is season 4, the Blu-ray is out in stores now. In stores everywhere.
You're just jumping right into it.
Yeah. I am. Go.
Well, the one thing I want to say before we move on from the Emmys is, hey, Brandon, calm down. We counted Rick and Morty out if we're being honest a little bit, because it was up against BoJack.
Yeah.
And other final season. So also there's like a weird echo. I can like hear myself, I think. So, I don't know if that's coming from your end or not. But anyway. So but much like many series in television, the final season can often be the one where you take a lot of Emmys. That it happened for Schitt's Creek. Schitt's Creek won a ton of Emmys, and it was their final season. But yeah, so they still managed to beat out BoJack, even though BoJack was in its final season. Yeah, I don't know why I'm hearing that little extra echo, but
has it been doing that?
It's occasional. It's not all the time.
Oh
yeah,
no,
they don't hear it on the stream, so we're good to go. It's
right.
it's my own personal it's my own personal tragedy.
It actually I on a side talk, when you hear yourself and there's like that slight delay, it throws everything up. It throws away your vibe. It throws away your ability to pick up on hot chicks or dudes at the local quinceañera bar. I don't think that's right.
The quinceañera bar? Let's not ever have that be a thing. But yeah, congratulations to the cast, the crew, the creators, everybody for the outstanding Emmy win. Now let's talk about what also happened in the last week, the release of Season 4 Blu-rays. The Blu-rays are out and available for purchase. Brandon, have you and will you be purchasing these Blu-rays?
I have not, and I don't know if I will. I do spend a lot of money on random crap. So it's possible. I don't know if I bought the Season 3 Blu-ray, which is out of character for me. Actually, the Season 1, I bought the DVDs, which was a mistake. Season 2, I bought the Blu-rays. Season 3, I didn't. And now I'm getting into a Simpsons situation where I started buying like a couple of seasons, and then I was like, new season's out. I don't know if I want to spend money on it right now. But by the time I wanted to buy more, I was so far behind that I said, screw it. It's too much money now. It's too much money.
Yeah, it's like a finance plan. You gotta buy it as they come out. Otherwise, they start to stack up, and then who knows what could happen. I have all of the previous seasons on Blu-ray, so it seems like something I need to buy. Plus, I mean, I do this podcast, so it also seems like something that just would make sense for me to have. And I want to see those sweet bonus features to include some special documentaries with the crew who worked on Season 4. So you can find that, and I'm sure much more for the Blu-rays. Again, not a sponsor, but go buy the show if you love it so much. And we know you do.
And we know you do. And while you're out at your local Walmart buying your Season 4 Blu-ray, there's something else that you should buy at your local Walmart.
Assuming you go to Walmart for your Blu-rays.
Because you have to go to Walmart for this next little bit of semi-perts, which is we knew during Super Bowl time that Pringles was going to come out with the Pickle Rick Pringles. And I looked for them. I couldn't find them anywhere. Every time I went to any kind of store, I looked for them just so I could taste these dill pickle Pringles. I never could find them, and I found out why. Because they are exclusively at Walmart, but they don't tell you that anywhere. They don't say they're exclusively at Walmart anywhere.
But we'll tell you. We'll tell you the truth.
We'll tell you the hard-hitting news with this. But not only are there the Pickle Rick chips, there are 2 new flavors of Rick and Morty Pringles out there. That's right, Morty Mustard and Meeseeks Sour Cream. Go out, Walmart, you find them there.
Buy the cans, put them on the shelf behind you when you film your podcasts. Do it. Do what you got to do to get your Pringles cans. If you already have the Pringles, if you tried the Pringles, we got to know. We got to know what you think. We need that tasty feedback. So tweet at us, send us an email. Do they taste any different than other Pringles?
I don't know. I ate Pringles today, as a matter of fact. I said that in the pre.
You did say that. You did. I believe you, Brandon.
What I will say is that you can order them online from a local Walmart, but the minimum order is $35. So you gotta order a couple cans of Pringles, then order some alcohol, some food, some groceries, maybe buy a TV. Yeah, I don't know. The world is your oyster.
Easy. One set of all the Pringles.
Yes.
Season 4 Blu-ray.
Oh.
8K TV. You just get all of those things. You'll easily pass the minimum purchase.
That was a good joke, Travis. I like that. You stuck with the rule of threes for your comedy, and you
stop dissecting my humor, Brandon.
You circumvented it a little bit, which caught me off guard because you said buy one of each, right? That's one part of the joke, and then the Blu-ray, and then the AK. You got oh god, nailed it. Okay, let's move on. We don't want to talk about that anymore. Tell us what you think of the Pringles. Pickle Pringles. Pickle. Can't do it. Sorry, Dark told me to say it 10 times fast.
Can't do it.
The next part of this semi-pertinent news, before we get into the main thing, is something that we all like to talk about. We all love to explore. It's the Dan Harmon Social Media Minute.
Social Media Minute. All right, guys.
It was like a Catholic hymn type thing you're going for, like the Halo theme.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Dan Harmon is still quarantined in his house in Los Angeles. They are still working on season 5 and beyond for Rick and Morty. He has grown out quite the beard, but he's still posting occasionally on Instagram, which is the only social media stream that he tends to post on. And this one's actually coming to us from today. This is a clip of Dan Harmon with his big bushy beard doing an impersonation of a dwarf that is performing stand-up comedy. So I'll play a little bit for you guys now.
You ever go to an elf's house? You can't. They live in the woods. I go to my elf friend's house and oh, here's the front yard, here's the backyard. Motherfucker, get a cave. Elves be riding horses like what is the horse your friend? Dwarves are like, you motherfucker, get the fuck. Listen, I'm Gimli, son of Glimli. I've used some divisive language here, but it's all because Middle-earth needs to be together. I got my hobbit friend here. He's looking at me like, are these my feet or a shoe? Motherfucker, shave those things. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. It's all about love. It's all about togetherness.
There you go. It's all about love. It's all about togetherness. It's all about Dan Harmon acting like a dwarf, and whoever was filming him, maybe his fiance, trying as hard as possible not to crack up in the background. But yeah, that's what Dan Harmon is busy doing right now in his house. So that has been your Dan Harmon Social Media Minute.
Well, thank you so much, Travis. I missed it, and I can't wait for more of those segments going on into the future, going on into the remainder of the series' episodes.
Yeah, forever and ever, for as long as this podcast is on, or until Dan Harmon cancels his Instagram, in which case we'll drop the segment. It'll go away. But enough about that. We have a very special reason for even having an episode tonight. So let's not delay any further. Let's get right into the main thing.
It's a main thing. It's a main thing.
Yeah. Main thing time. So why are we having this episode? We've talked about it. We've hinted at it a little bit already, but the subreddit for Rick and Morty. If you're not familiar with Reddit and you hear us at the top of the show always talking about how you can find us online at rickandmortypodcast.reddit.com or rickandmorty.reddit.com. Reddit is the social media news sharing site, and the subreddit that collects all sorts of Rick and Morty content just hit a major milestone in the last week, Brandon? Like when did it actually officially reach this milestone? Do you know?
So today is the 28th of September. We actually hit this milestone. I tweeted about it about a week and a half ago, I think, and it's a pretty enormous milestone if you think about it. 2 million folks subscribe to one subreddit is just incredible. And we hear in the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat, it's a madhouse with the 2 people that follow us and watch us live, right?
Madhouse.
Just imagine, corralling all these Rick and Morty cats in this subreddit. 20 people. Just let's imagine 20 people. No, strike that. 30 people. No, strike that. 2 million. Let's jump to 2 million. It's an enormous
jump, by the way.
I didn't have time to continue the joke.
50. No. 3 hours later. Yeah.
But one of the things that the moderators of the subreddit wanted to do was they wanted to celebrate that milestone. They wanted to have they wanted to put it together a contest. They wanted to do something for the fans, for the folks in the subreddit. And part of that, me being I say honorary moderator, but
you're a mod, bro, through and through.
I mean, technically, yes, I am a mod because I have the permissions for it.
You got that. You got that mod bod. That's what you got.
But they're like, why don't we talk a little bit about the history of the subreddit, because it is so big, and get into some of the stories behind it, of its growth and all that type of stuff. And to do that, we went and we talked to one of the, if not the person who helped establish the subreddit, and we'll get into that tale. It's Elastical_Gomez. You can find her still on the side of the Reddit sidebar. I've hung out with her at a time or so. We've talked and wanted to bring that history and explore it with you tonight, tomorrow, whenever it is that you're listening to this.
Yeah, so we had this conversation a few nights ago. We are going to play some of the highlights for you. We had a very long conversation, but we pulled out some of the best bits for this version of the podcast. So we will go ahead and jump right into it, and then kind of come back with some comments and things going through it as well. So without any further delay, here is our interview with Elastical Gomez. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for being here. We have a very special guest with us. Elastical Gomez is here all the way out from the Reddit world and the sunny coast out in LA. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you. And
thanks for having me on.
Yes, absolutely. So I guess first off, you are the moderator, the lead moderator. Is that, do you have like a ranked title on the Rick and Morty subreddit?
I am retired now, so that's my ranked title, is just a disgruntled retired person. But I used to be the disgruntled head moderator for about 5 to 6 years there, from building the subreddit pretty much all the way out through 2018. So I guess 5 years, 5 to 6 years or so. Yep.
That is outstanding. And so starting a subreddit, how did you get involved? How did you sort of become the person that was lucky enough to be given the duties of building Rick and Morty's subreddit?
Lucky is an interesting choice. So I was working on the show for season 1 as sort of a low-level grunt in the the production trenches is what we call it, pretty much, just because it's like, if you do your job right, you're invisible. And if you do it wrong, then the entire thing falls apart and goes over budget and over deadline. So I was just a low-level design coordinator. And literally, I remember working in sort of a little cubicle farm area with the rest of us. And I remember Justin just sort of walking down the hall going, does anyone know how to do Reddit? And I, being, you know, a complete shut-in and introvert, even back then in my youth, was like, I spend too much time on the web to figure it out, because no one else in the office even knew what Reddit was. Back in 2013, it was a very different time. I mean, most of us weirdos knew what Reddit was, but yeah, it's still, most people were still on Facebook and Twitter, primarily on that during that time for social media management. So no one had really tried to do a subreddit, but Justin and a lot of the writers sort of came from that background of like knowing 4chan, knowing Reddit and that sort of thing. So they wanted to get that community set up early on. So I offered, and you know, this was before the show even aired. We started putting it together. Yep.
Wow. That's I want to ask about that piece, right? So you're working on a show, you're putting it together. You don't know how successful or how unsuccessful it's going to be while you're getting started. But okay, let's start pushing a social media presence in some way, shape, or form. You start this subreddit for Rick and Morty. Like, how do you go about starting something that nobody has any idea about?
Well, I mean, we sort of banked on the fact that like nobody was going to be searching for Rick and Morty because it hadn't been announced yet. So we took the time to sort of build it very slowly in the dark there. And then after the first episode aired, I had a couple people message me to help moderate. And since I was like, I literally taught myself CSS just to get the layout, a basic layout going. My main concern then was just making it look nice enough to get people, you know, to be like, oh, this is the official, you know, an official fan community. We got the Facebook page to list us as an official community, and for a good time there, because those of us moderating it were working for the show. We were trying, I decided to try out some experimental stuff that I thought like would bring in more activity, more online discussion, because back then it was becoming clear that these sort of grassroots like fan communities were going to be a very important thing, especially moving forward, especially for a show like Rick and Morty that was so capitalizing on the meme and internet humor of the time. Like, I think Rage comics were even used as design inspiration for that first season's expression sheets for Rick and Morty. So yeah, it was very much a show that was banking on meme magic in all sorts of forms.
So as that first season started to premiere, how quickly did fans start to discover the subreddit? How was the growth early on? Was it fast, or was it slowly ramping?
It was a bit of a trickle there for a couple episodes. It wasn't until the Me6 episode aired that things got really crazy. And then the Interdimensional Cable episode after that really started drumming up support. And we were like, all of us working on the show knew that this thing was going to be a hit, because we're reading the scripts and we're like, there's nothing like this on TV right now. Now there's 1,000,001 things on TV like Rick and Morty right now. But back then there was nothing like it, especially on Adult Swim. Because if you can cast your memory, I know it feels like an eternity ago, because 4 years seems like an eternity ago. But back in 2013, it was just the Tim and Eric was like the biggest show on Adult Swim at the time, and they were embracing that kind of just Tim and Eric knockoff stuff. Like Eric Andre was kind of just starting out, I think. So Adult Swim didn't really know how to handle Rick and Morty very well, because it almost seemed like a show that was going to be better suited for a sort of a Fox sitcom structure where you have a family unit and, you know, wacky adventures happen, but ultimately it's structured similarly to a Simpsons. A lot of Simpsons vets working on the show. And yeah, Family Guy, a lot of Family Guy vets working on the show.
Yeah,
So,
and it seems like they had, you know, like Frisky Dingo was out there.
yes.
Of course, Aqua Teen Hunger Force is a mainstay of Adult Swim for a long time.
Yeah.
And
But that's super chaotic, you know, just, you know, fuck it. I don't know if I can say that, but
yeah, no, yeah. I mean,
no.
we talk about Rick and Morty. We don't talk about cussing.
I don't. Are you guys airing on YouTube? Is this a thing that you?
Yeah, no. Feel free to say
Okay,
shit.
cool.
It's fine.
Yeah, all right, cool. Just making sure. Some people have different rules. I apologize. I haven't like checked it out in a while.
Yeah, we don't have those rules.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So there was.
We have Brandon on the show. We don't have those rules.
That's true.
There was just kind of fuck it energy over at Adult Swim at this time, and they didn't know how to take a show that was like meticulously designed and pasted and structured to be just a tight knit machine. But you know, we all knew this was going to be big, and we knew that it was going to be big with the internet audiences, and viral marketing was probably going to be our best bet to get it out there. So I made sure, you know, before ever that horrible period of time when like you could not enter a Reddit thread without someone just quoting the damn show over and over and over again. And that's, you know, we didn't do that. I didn't do that. That was just people on their own. But we started trying out experimental things, like, because the whole crew was enjoying watching the fan base talk about it. And that's the thing about Reddit that's different from Facebook and Twitter, structurally speaking, is that Twitter and Facebook, it's very much the main account dictates and everyone else responds. So the conversation is entirely controlled by the not entirely, but controlled primarily by the administrator of the account. Whereas with Reddit, all user submitted content, you can comment as a moderator, but it's ultimately up to the fans. So it was the best place for us to actually see fan theories and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that intro, and in terms of like knowing her perspective from working on the show early on, I feel like was really interesting to me, because I honestly, when we started this interview, I didn't realize that she like had as big of a role as she did on the show like early on. So it's really cool to kind of hear how that came together.
Yeah. When thinking about how long she had been in with the subreddit, me having met her, and that'll be a topic of discussion in a little bit. Me having met her, I didn't realize how big a role she had to play in all of that stuff. To me, when I look at a subreddit, whatever that subreddit is, I see a list of moderators, and I say, okay, that's a volunteer. That's somebody who has no affiliation. They're a fan like us, and they're working on it. It makes sense that they would have creators, folks who work on the show who, you know, they want to see its success as well, become a part of it and put themselves out there to build it up.
Yeah, and so as conversation went on, she actually talked a little bit more about how she was able to get the crew more involved with the subreddit and sort of how they participated as well.
So we started getting the crew involved. So there was a period of time there from seasons 1 to 2 when the crew, we had special crew tags, and we would encourage them to interact with the fans. And that was something that nobody else was doing. That was just completely experimental, and it worked like a charm, because it really made the Reddit community, more so than any of the other social media outlets for that show, feel like a fan hub that was both connected to the show, but also something that was entirely their own, that they felt like they, you know, had a hand in and could literally get in touch with the people working on their favorite show. So that really helped drum up early support. that had to go away as the show got more popular, and
Well, I think it's interesting in that way because Royland's name is his Reddit username is still he's still a moderator for the subreddit,
yeah,
and I'd almost say like I think the first time I reached out to Ryan Elder as far as trying to get him onto the show to chat with us, like I got a hold of him through the subreddit because I saw that he had responded to somebody through the subreddit, and then I reached out to him directly. And that's how we coordinated for him to come on the show, and yeah, no, I mean absolutely, like that to me that's a huge thing. I don't see too much of that. We see a little bit of on Twitter the interactions, but still it's very one directional if
yeah.
at all.
And
Where this
yeah, the fan base is expecting different things more and more from the media they consume these days. And we were seeing sort of the first boom of that, where the fans were expecting this high concept series after that Evil Morty episode got them thinking, ooh, deeper plot. Game of Thrones is on. TV's serious now. And I think that they probably weren't expecting, the writers kind of wrote themselves into something of a corner with that, because expectation wise, because they felt they had to cater to the plot. I feel, this is my personal opinion, this is not based on anything, but it seems that they felt that they had to cater to the fan expectations that they created on accident with regards to adding in more plot heavy stuff, getting away from just the silly fuck it kind of humor that that was so prevalent in those first two seasons, or in the first season especially. But then oh god, what was there's something else that happened very early on.
Well, on your point about the more fun kind of free flowing stuff in the season one and going into season two, you can see some of that in the later episodes, especially in season four. That weird conflict where yes, we'll get to the serialized stuff, but we also want to do fun shit. All right.
Yeah, yeah, and it's one of those things where the fans kind of had it was one of those problematic instances, and I've been taking notes on I've been doing market research for the entire time that I was running it, because I was doing it essentially for free, and I might as well get something out of it since I want to be a showrunner someday, and I want to understand this new frontier of transmedia marketing.
Yeah, and so I think the idea of how the fans got involved early is really fascinating to me, and it's the conversation kind of it doesn't dwell on some of the more negative aspects of the fan base early on, but if we're talking about Reddit, like that there's a topic of conversation there as well.
Yeah, right. For the podcast listener, we are also streaming this on Twitch, and one of our longtime friends of the show, Sire Dark, mentions that getting in early and parking the socials before the fans grab it after the fact is super smart, and I want to reiterate that, just the idea of going into it proactively and saying, you know what, let us create that culture or that environment, or at least develop it. She talked about CSS in the first segment. Before it starts getting too deep into theory crafting and shit posting, which we didn't talk about this at all in the actual interview, but Morty Town was created specifically for shit posting eventually.
Right.
We go a little bit into the idea of, is there the negativity of Reddit, was that a big thing at the start, or was that something that kind of filtered in over time?
Yeah, what is the origin story of toxic fandoms, which we get into right here.
And let's get into some of this a little bit, because I mean, you think about the Reddit community, you think about the Rick and Morty fan base, in general, and it does have some great sides to it. It's had some less than great moments in history, but I mean, early on, like you had obviously a smaller community as they were trickling in. Was there any sense of like any of that, I don't know, negative or toxic stuff early on, or did it start off pretty?
It started off really friendly, actually, and that's kind of why we were super hopeful there, at least for the first season. And then in the second season was when it started to get a little much, and that's when we started to see, because season 1 was like, it became this cult phenomenon, and people who liked the show felt that they had a special connection with the show because it was getting popular still, and they were like, you know, I liked it before it was cool, sort of a thing. But then after season 2 aired, the show just blew up, and turns out the subreddit was set up fully by then. We were building up our team of moderators who, like, literally, like, we could not have done this without like the many usernames you see on the sideboard there. But we also took great pains to keep our mod team small, simply because I have been on the receiving end of so many power tripping moderators, and I did not want us to become that. So all of us have done a bit more work than should be expected of volunteers, but at the same time, I feel we have extremely balanced, effective moderating approach that we've developed over time. Simply because we have kept this family-like group very tight-knit sort of thing, so we can all be on the same page, and no problematic egos involved. That's always been sort of my main thing, is trying to keep those power tripping types out.
Yeah, I've never been. I am lucky enough to be an honorary moderator of the subreddit, although I don't.
You're a moderator. You post stuff.
Yeah, I know, but I don't do a whole lot of the moderation.
He's so humble.
Mostly because I don't want to fuck anything up. But
I know the feeling. But some moderators are there just to add content and be active. Like, that's also a very valid thing. You know, I brought you on because you were already doing this wonderful podcast. You were already covering the episodes. You were basically doing already, and in a better way, those kind of recap posts that I would do, you know, discussion posts as the episodes would air to get people active and stuff like that. You're already doing it. So I felt like it was the natural choice to pass the buck, you know, no pressure also, or because I was like, yeah, I gotta bounce after season 3, just like fried my brain.
Yeah, Brandon, you're great. You're a great moderator. But
I go on to tell her after that if you go back into Reddit and you look into the history, she talks briefly about in between season 2 and season 3, where there's a two-year gap, that in order to fill that gap of time, she started doing these posts. And I told her, and she did a great job on them. She had all these episode posts going back to season 1, going up into season 2, talking about the episode, having a lot of behind the scenes information, because she's friends with Brian Newton, who's a director. He was on the show from the start. And so they had way more insight into the behind the scenes stuff to make it more interesting. Whereas me making those posts, it's very, very generic. A Trojan horse to, you know, put a link to the podcast in there underneath the official Dalton podcast. It's us coming from a place of not being anybody's. Trying to put it.
But you do a lot of work, and I think that's the main takeaway from that, is just how much work all of the moderators do to keep that community going, to keep it as positive as it can be, and keep things running to a point where 2 million people want to be, you know, a part of it. And while you're, you know, monitoring posts and making sure things don't get out of hand, there's some things that the mods can do or can notice where it really can benefit the show, whether directly or indirectly. And in this next segment, she talks a little bit about the season 3 premiere and some of the issues that went along with the start of season 3.
Adult Swim trying to premiere things online without having the servers capacity to handle the traffic was like such a no-brainer. Have you guys not been seeing the fan, how like anticipated this premiere was? Like, maybe you might expect a lot of viewers. No one watches TV anymore either. No one has cable. Everyone's going to be wanting to watch the premiere online. Yeah. And we have the official Twitter account directing people to our subreddit to find illegal streaming sources. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the numbers on the website. I'm like, we have 40,000 people on our page right now, and they are all of them demanding links. And all the links are being shut down due to over access. So we would have a scramble, and I had some people, because whoever got the first stream up won, So there were a couple of streamers out there who had our backs. And by having our backs, they had Adult Swim's backs, because Adult Swim was literally using us to be like, oh, we didn't build an effective website. So here, go to the unofficial subreddit and just stop talking to me. I'm only getting paid a salary to handle you all. But let's just give it to the volunteers who do a better job.
Call in the volunteers! Call in the volunteers!
Call in the volunteers! Call them in, Brandon! That could be tough. Especially for all volunteer moderators to put up with some of that stuff.
I mean, it is very, very, very true, right? Like we do a lot of things out of the, well, not me. But let me just, this
everything
is
Brandon does is for profit or tax breaks. Those are the two reasons he does things.
But the whole team that's in there, they put so much work and into the moderation, even before they, if somebody is speaking out of turn, or they're like, if there's a question on whether or not we need to ban someone for a day or so, it's very, very, deliberate, and they talk about it in the Discord, like, is this okay? And there's a little bit of thinking about it. And this is all in the middle of people's work days. If they're actually working, they're teleworking. Which means we're all redditing.
Moderators are just teleworking these days. That's all they're doing.
But we're taking time away from our families. We're getting divorces. We're no joke. I'm not. But they put a lot of work in, and they dedicate themselves to the show and to the fan base through their actions. And so there's a little bit of concern there, and a little frustration over time, right? We feel it here every once in a while, and so it's understandable.
Yeah, and it can be hard, especially when you get into some of the extended breaks that the season has had, or the show has had between seasons, and we deal with it in one way where we come up with different content, or we just straight up don't make episodes. But the subreddit sort of had to deal with breaks between seasons and things like that.
Because there was I think 2-year-long gap in between seasons 2 and 3, the subreddit was dead all the way through 2016, and we were just kind of half there. That's when a lot of our long-term mods sort of came on, was around that time, and it was a good time for us to use that as just a training ground, because things were so slow. So I took that time to sort of help mentor some of the newer moderators, and just sort of explain what we like to do. And I wrote a lot of the discussion posts and recap posts during that time, simply because it was like, if I don't do this, they are literally going to shitpost themselves to death. And it was like the shitposting had gotten so repetitive and so bad that it was starting to circle back around into self-parody territory. And that was kind of fun to watch. But then as soon as that April Fool's thing hit, it was just all bets were off. We did not get a heads up about that. And I'm still a little peeved about it, because if we had just been able to have enough moderators on hand, like by not having that heads up, I spent 3 days straight without sleep, just deleting spam.
That is unreal to me, by the way, that and yeah, like it was a surprise episode. I'm sure they were trying to keep the lid on the surprise, but the fact that like they didn't like give a nudge to the mods or be like, hey, you should maybe be ready on April 1st, just in case, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like that's so crazy to me, because that was huge for us on this podcast. We had just gotten started before that, and that was such a launching point for this podcast. But I imagine, we were so eager to get on microphones and talk about the episode on the podcast, but you had so many fans who their only real way to communicate about the show was on the subreddit. So yeah, I can't imagine the level of activity during those few weeks.
Well, going back to our personal story about the April Fool's surprise premiere, when I was hiking the mountain in Hawaii, and me coming back to basically spammed texts of you being like, you need to watch this, and that's just me going through a text and being like, delete Travis, delete Travis, delete Travis, delete Travis. Now you multiply that by, it wasn't 2 million at that point in time, but it was well into the hundreds of thousands of folks, and the massive amount of work that it would take to maintain that is mind-boggling. And I stayed up for 24 hours straight one time, and it was miserable. And that wasn't me even working. That was me playing Donkey Kong Country when I was 16.
Yes, very, very much the same sort of thing, Brandon. Well, along with premiere hype and things like that, also the Rick and Morty subreddit has been home to the start and the spread of some pretty well-known memes, and Brandon took this opportunity to ask about particular memes, especially those that require a very high IQ.
I wanted to kind of ask, there was that common meme that was going around 2017-ish, maybe 2017, 2018, the whole the large IQ meme that was going on, right?
Yeah. Loved it.
Was that one of those ones where you're like, oh, this is stupid, so, oh, it's coming back around, it's funny,
yes,
it's ironic now. Oh no,
yes, I had been waiting for it, because it was starting to get a little much, the amount of Rick and Morty quoting going on, and the bitching, just the amount of bitching going on from these like, and the nerd culture was starting to become mainstream at that time. So like Funko Pops were starting to become a thing, and the comic, like, I think 2013, I went to Comic-Con with Rick and Morty at 2013, and nobody was at the panel because it hadn't been announced yet. And it was like just following some big, I think it was like a Sherlock panel or something big, and you could see the whole crowd just filtering out. And then it was just Justin and I think Dan and some other writers drunk at a panel table, and me and my now husband Andy sitting in the front row, just kind of like, well, guess it's just us here. And the only people coming in were filtering in like, what is this? I'm here for the Doctor Who thing, So
I'm getting my seat early for the next one. Like,
yeah, they were trying to grab seats, and that was like the last
it's
year.
Hot outside.
Yeah, that was really kind of the last year. Andy always said, like, as soon as Twilight premiered at Comic-Con, people considered Comic-Con kind of dead or sold out, because Twilight, Comic-Con, we think of Comic-Con as this huge like South by Southwest style institution.
Wait,
where it's full of pop culture now, but
I missed the Twilight panel. God damn it!
Right?
I've been waiting for years.
You have been waiting years for that Twilight panel. When are you going to get to it, Brandon?
It's true. I'm waiting for COVID to subside.
Yeah. You've been hitting up all the virtual Twilight panels instead.
Yeah. On the subject of panels, it's interesting. There was a couple times in the interview she mentioned specific milestones or time frames that kind of line up with other people that we've talked to. Like Ryan Ridley had talked about the Meeseeks episode blowing up, and we talked to him about the Comic-Con at one point in time, and how empty it was. And her talking about now that this Comic-Con event episode early on in this show's history, it's interesting to me to see all these figures that are behind the scenes of the show, big and small, coming together and bringing this shared history that most fans do not see or can't see just based off of the season 4 Blu-ray behind the scenes.
Yes. The other part about being so present, whether it's out at Comic-Cons or just being like the head moderator of a subreddit, is the challenges that come with that, especially trying to maintain some sort of anonymity. In this next clip, she talks a lot about not wanting to reveal to anyone that Elastical Gomez is a female, or what she looks like, and sort of the challenges that come with that when you're running such a gigantic subreddit.
So there's a reason why this is the first time I am now showing my face, and even like this past year is the first time that I even like posted anything linked to my identity. In the entire 6 years that I was moderating subreddit, I did not reveal my gender, simply because I knew enough of the internet to know that as soon as I revealed that I was a chick that worked on the show, all of my PR work that I would do for the show would be taken through a different lens. And all of my official mod statements would then be taken through, this is a girl saying it, instead of just, this is a voice of authority stating it. And it sucks that we have to do that in order to be taken seriously online, but it does make a difference. And thankfully I was aware enough. I had spent, I grew up with the internet. I was a very early adopter of a lot of things online. So I knew enough to know that, like, if I want anyone to take me seriously, I'm gonna have to shield myself and just essentially be a very neutral statement person. But I learned a lot of PR via this whole season, because that season was also when all the Me Too stuff happened. It was also when the female writer thing happened. And that was another instance where we did some PR for them. We shut it down. Like, my statement that I posted out there was the final word on the subject up until Mr. Harmon decided to, a month after the thing was put to bed, he tweets about it. And then I find I'm getting pinged on my old post from a month ago talking about how, not even addressing this horrible sexist crap. This was just talking about how the idea of female writers coming in and ruining it is just ignorant of how animation works, right, and how the animation process goes. That, the writer's name of an episode is not necessarily the end all be all. Everything passes through Justin and everything passes through Dan. So that was my statement. And then I find out I'm getting quoted next to Dan Harmon on news articles. Like, I think Polygon quoted me and stuff like that. I got reached out to via the Telegraph. And when I said, please don't refer to me by my name, they then used a tabloid filter of saying, Elastical Gomez is so afraid of the Rick and Morty fan base that she does not want us to reveal their identity here. And I'm like, no, that's just the internet. I'm a moderator of a massive. I'm a moderator of a massive subreddit. I don't want to reveal my identity. And they were like, clearly this, and so I had to do damage control after that too.
That I find that really one the twisting by the Telegraph, but also just I can imagine that being very challenging. We don't have nearly the level of people following this show that follow the subreddit, and and we still have to like take certain precautions. We're maybe not great at it, but we do, and so I think that's I think that can be really challenging, but I liked what you said about some of the work that they put in to address PR issues with the show, and continue to try and paint the show in a positive light even when things don't always go according to plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah, because that the beginning of season 3, the premiere came out, everyone's like, oh, super excited, leading into another wait for the actual season 3 to show up. Reddit a buzz, a flutter, waiting for the actual episodes to come out, and then they finally do, and in that period of time, Jessica Gao, Sarah Carbiner, writers of these episodes, and getting firebranded. I don't know. But in Elastical Gomez was part of that at that point in time, and so it's understandable to one limit who people know about you. I got a random Reddit message not too long ago saying #cringe, or not # /cringe, and then I sent, there's a bomb waiting for you on your front porch. Like that happened to me. And
that happened to Brandon, you guys. Brandon.
By the way, do not send messages like that to Barnyard Crews. I will report you to the mods.
Or anyone. Don't send that to anyone. But yeah, so it's those are challenges that the mods have dealt with. But in that period of early season 3, there were some other issues with the season that came up, and I found this little clip coming up here about how they were able to help maintain the integrity of season 3 was rather interesting.
Roll.
One thing I wanted to mention as far as the season 3 thing, we stopped episodes from being leaked by identifying a security hole in Adult Swim's online servers, simply by monitoring the Discord feed. One of our moderators caught someone bragging, because season 2, an episode or 2 got leaked, and it was a big deal. And Adult Swim, didn't understand how it happened. I think people didn't know if it had come from inside the company, what was going on. But pre-season 3 airing, like after the Szechuan episode happened, and we were getting a ton of activity on the Discord. That's when the Discord started blowing up, was after that episode happened. Someone started bragging about being the person who leaked the episodes. And then I got pinged from one of my moderators going, dude, watch this. And I was like, okay, start getting information out of them. Ask them to prove it, basically. And they did. They updated the torrent file that had been timestamped. So we screen capped all, and it's like, they know that we have people working on the show on the mod team, but okay, or at least not even working on the show, but have a direct line to the studio. That was our whole gimmick, was that we had a direct line to the studio. And we identified a security hole. Apparently, the Adult Swim's online server for streaming didn't have any password protection. And they just left it wide open. And this dude was talking about how wide open it had been left. And I immediately fired off that info to Mike Mindell, and they immediately acted on it and, shut it down.
Okay. We have a couple things we have to cut in here for real quick. One, use strong passwords, guys. It's just safe. Use strong passwords.
Do not use the password admin.
Don't do it. Change your passwords. Keep them up to date. Second, kudos to the mod team for getting that shut down and keeping those episodes taken care of, because that's not good.
No, it is not good at all. I do want to also mention she mentioned Mike Mendel, who a longtime veteran of animation who passed away this last year. So shout out to him as well, showing that he was a big part of this, also behind the scenes. Maybe not a moderator, but there in spirit. I mean, it's the things that the average person doesn't necessarily see. All this extra kind of drama, all this intrigue, if you will, just goes to again highlight the amount of work that goes into it. Speaking of amount of work that goes into it, early on when the Reddit was starting, trying to get prestige into the show, Elastical Gomez, she mentioned one thing about a way to drum up interest in the show. Not specifically Reddit necessarily, but still there to drum up interest.
I love this. Hold here, listen to this.
Justin would intentionally post on 4chan, shit posting it and talking shit about the show just to drum up
just to drive attention
about it. Yeah, he would post negative stuff about Rick and Morty constantly on 4chan, just to get them to talk about the show and be like, "No, man, this show's good. You don't know what you're talking about." He'd be like, "No, it's stupid," and just troll them.
The guy's got a stupid voice. Ugh.
Like we were all for it because we were just trying to get attention for that time. And I guess what we did was so effective.
It was effective. And I love that story about Justin Roiland and the fact that he would go on and talk crap about the show and bash it just there's no such thing as bad press, right? That's the idea here. So long as people are talking about your show, then you're doing the right thing. I thought that was tremendous.
Quick 669 in the chat says, "Neg the show? Heck, hey, if it works to get me a date in junior high school, then it's just get." By the way, it never worked for me then. It doesn't work for me now.
Yeah. But you still maintain to do it. I'm not a real mod. Anyway, speaking of being,
that's being self-deprecating. But speaking of fooling around, I think is what you're going to say. There was something that we all did in the summer of 2018, before season 4 was a twinkle in anybody's eye. We did something on April Fool's.
Yes.
That's part of how I knew that it would play well, because I had seen just how hungry the fan base was for deeper meaning. And they were really hungry for any sort of conspiracy that they could latch on to that would make this their favorite series into something, more than maybe what the writers and creative staff wanted it to be.
There's always that even though a show gives you tons of things to think about, there's always that desire that there's something missing, and if I just peel back these layers,
right?
But it can get sometimes those layers are not there, and you just have to accept the fact that the show is what the show is.
Drinking baby's blood. Those adult Rick and Morty writers are doing.
A lot of the stuff that fans hone in on is stuff that was thrown in at the last second. I can't say quite what exactly, but because I don't know what they've said openly, because I don't follow it anymore, what they've revealed, but so many of the deeper, the conspiracy favorites, I know for a fact, are all things that were just throwaway gags, stuff like that. And I mean, Andy, my husband, literally worked in an Appley Award into the Needful Things episode, just as a hint, maybe we're still in a simulation, just to give them a door out. No one picked up on that.
Yes. So there you have it, everyone. confirmation that not everything is planned out. It's not all a tangled web, and that when we argue on this show that maybe a joke is just a joke, yeah, it probably is. It was probably just drawn in by a background artist or something like that.
Sometimes a joke is just a joke. We did a poor transition. Full disclosure, did a poor transition.
Yeah, you suck, Brandon. No, we did.
The question leading into that was specifically talking about the Jimmy Neutron April Fool's gag that we coordinated with Reddit for way back when, and it was we talk about it a little bit in some of the other audio that we're not playing tonight, but where we talk about just how fun that was, and the moderators they spent a lot of time making Jimmy Neutron shit post images behind the scenes to post that throughout the day. We obviously did our episode for it, and then we also claimed that we were now the official Rick and Morty podcast. And just kind of how fun that was and how positive that experience is. But even if it's a joke, we can have fun with it, but that it speaks to that conspiracy.
Yeah, the people looking for more. And actually, we sort of closed out the conversation asking about, now that she's moved on from Rick and Morty, moved on from the subreddit, what other projects that she has on the horizon. And it kind of deals with that idea of peeling back layers and looking for deeper meaning in things. So here's a little info about Ascended Masters, the future project from Elastical Gomez.
So you've moved on from the Rick and Morty subreddit. You're on to bigger and better things. What are some projects that you're working on now, or some things that you might be able to plug for folks to check out some of the other stuff that you're working on?
Oh yeah, so I've been working really closely with one of my closest friends and my favorite artist. Her name is Trina Hines. She's blowing up right now, doing tons of like album art. Spotify. She just got featured on Spotify recently, and we have been researching and writing and developing for the past 3 years. Ever since 2017, we've been developing this animated it's an esoteric comedy series about, and that's where my background's from, about Victorian occult societies, and just sort of because back then it was the highly educated members of British society were in these, like, if you think of the Freemasons or the Illuminati, you think of like cloaked mysterious people, but it was just a bunch of nerds pretending to be wizards in their spare time, essentially. And there's a lot of humor in the history, and a lot of also really good potential for actual ARG content that not only enhances the show, but it gives the dedicated fans something to sink their teeth into. I'm using all of the mini, almost a decade now, market research all of my market research experience, all the stats. I have numbers and stuff. I have been paying very close attention to what this massive target demographic is wanting, and I do believe that I've identified a gap in the market for something that our show provides. I can't explicitly tell you that because that's tricks up my sleeve, but I do know that I feel very, very confident that if we are given the opportunity, we are in the pitching stage right now. We've had some very good responses from some studios. We're still looking for a home for the project, but we're currently working with Brian Newton right now, director of Meeseeks, Interdimensional Cable, clearly a guest,
and absolute friend of the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's great. So we're working.
I've had a drink with him.
Yeah, we all got drinks at one time. So I'm currently. He came over for dinner last night. We're working together to make an animatic that we'll be releasing soon. We're finally coming out of the shadows about this because we've been very, very like on the down low about it. Because I know enough about this industry to know how many thieves there are out there. But if I can now put put it out there, hey, Ascended Masters is our idea. It's you'll be seeing stuff about it soon. Hopefully we can find a home for it. And it's I have a lot of confidence in this little magic trick we've been building. It's very much a clockwork machine. My husband is not only a production wizard, he helped build the production engine that allows Rick and Morty to be so complex and highly animated and stuff like that without completely overwhelming the pipeline. As long as you don't have someone demanding that things be rewritten at the last second, then you can have a very well sustaining show. And that was, part him. He was with it since the pilot. So we have his production genius, but he's also a Shakespeare scholar. He's also, he's just one of those brains that just, he actually understands Shakespeare, which is like the weirdest thing in the world for a man of his age to be obsessed with. So we've been working in like kind of classical literature, some old Hollywood stuff. Basically, the cultural memory now only remembers back to about 1977 or whenever Star Wars was created. So basically anything pre like 60s and earlier, old Hollywood stuff, it's all up for grabs. No one remembers it. No one watches it. And old plays, old literature.
It's finally rip off Serpico.
Yeah, right? Like, who ripped off Serpico? That was Always Sunny did a Serpico episode where Charlie becomes Serpico for like a minute.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So Always Sunny knows their roots very well.
Yeah,
and some artists, guys, like Rick and Morty is literally, if you watch the first versions of Doctor Who, you will see a lot of Rick and Morty in it. Like that's the secret. It's not a secret to anyone because it's just out there. Like it's literally just early Doctor Who episodes that most of you kids don't know.
For folks who were raised in a pop culture way, I probably learned most of my morals through pop culture.
Yeah, we all sort of do.
Yeah.
Whether or not we realize it.
So that's really what jumped out at me. The first season and a half of Rick and Morty was that piece. Those are all things that jumped out at me. And then in season 4 with the Snake episode too, the Terminator stuff. It speaks to me. I do want to say, as far as Ascended Masters goes, I've seen some stuff. I'm not going to talk about it because that would be a breach of our trust.
Well, I'm now starting to slightly come out of the shadows, so it's okay to talk a little bit about it. I'm actually, yeah. Go ahead, please.
Well, what I was going to say was when we first started talking about it, I'd say probably maybe about a year ago.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about was like Gravity Falls and Alex Hirsch and a lot of the stuff that Alex Hirsch snuck into in like that mystery, that ongoing mystery throughout the series.
Yeah, Gravity Falls is essentially just Twin Peaks for kids.
Yeah.
It is like it knows its roots. It knows how to sort of capture the imagination of kids in a really smart way. And I think it's great. And now we have kids that were raised on media like Gravity Falls that can watch YouTube and essentially get the equivalent of a media studies degree worth of knowledge simply by absorbing the right YouTube channels analyses of these things. As someone who went to college for these things, I can tell you can get just as good information from YouTube.
Yeah.
So now we have more informed audiences. They want more out of the media they're consuming, and they are very vocal about that fact, as the Rick and Morty fandom has taught us.
Yeah, on Reddit.
Even if the show does not provide it, the fans will create it themselves, and you are at risk of having your creation get hijacked and run away with by fans who prefer their headcanon over whatever you're providing, and whatever you're providing can never quite live up to the headcanon because you didn't plan ahead. So that's the trap that we're in this modern day situation of interactive media. And a lot of ARG campaigns out there, they are really not utilizing the full potential of the medium. The narrative medium of an ARG is, you know, it should be, you should make a show that's still enjoyable to watch casually, but because there is no stopping dedicated fans from picking apart every little thing, why not make something that is so full of Easter eggs and so full of like extra knowledge and little tiny little winks to things? You know, I would love to trick kids into reading books. That's kind of
Gotcha.
Yeah,
reading,
gotcha.
kids.
You learned something. Ha! You know, like that's really my main scheme, is to just use an esoteric comedy series about the occult to also, you know, while making fun of how absurdist the whole situation is. Like Aleister Crowley, if you read his writings from the right perspective, it's just Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes silliness. It's extremely cartoonish. And we, you know, we've always, my husband's always been a huge fan of Alan Moore, and he works occultism very heavily into everything he does. Same with, you know, Neil Gaiman and all of those guys. So we're taking a lot of cues from graphic novels and stuff like that. And we want to create something that is this fluid, you know, if we're going to be doing astral plane stuff, you know, it's not magic as like a Harry Potter style where it's essentially just like magical bullets being fired from a, you know, a wand. It's more of like altered states of consciousness. So we have a fun opportunity then to use different types of animation and different stylistic changes to bring in new artists. It can be like the astral plane equivalent of the Simpsons couch gag. There's just infinite possibilities if you just approach it from the angle of expecting fans to interact with your project. Expect, you know, if success doesn't come, fine, but you should at least like plan ahead for it, because if it does hit, you're gonna be put on the spot, and you better have something.
You better have something, Brandon. You better have something.
I do have something. It's 50 billion more episodes of this podcast. No, I that last bit. One is saying in the chat that you know, the show itself, seeing some of the behind the scenes stuff is looking really good. Brian Jordan, again, you know, he worked on Rick and Morty. He's been around a long time. Friend of the show. He is helping him out. Her husband Andy is a longtime animator as well. He's working on it. It's looking great. And that very, very last bit of what she says is going into, just as she did with Rick and Morty, into the subreddit, establishing a community, or at least the foundations of a community early on, and then using some of those skills and learning points, those lessons learned, to develop something, establish Easter eggs early on, quickly, build a conspiracy theory, you know, mentioning Gravity Falls, and use that to its advantage is really, really intelligent. And set yourself up for success. Don't just say like, you know, let me just get a show out and then I'll figure it out. I do go on to talk about Fly the Conchords a little bit there, talking about season 1 of Fly the Conchords. They had a comedy album. Then season 2, they're like, oh, you want to do another one? Now we have to be funny.
We have to write more and quickly. Yeah, yeah. Having that plan in advance is definitely a benefit. And I like what she was saying about, you know, getting people to look towards specific points in culture, whether that's books or other things, you know, to find little bonuses and write that into your story and have that expectation going in. There is so much more to this interview. We've barely scratched the surface. She talked a little bit about ARGs, alternate reality games. We talked for a long time about a sinister group on Reddit that tried to create their own ARG for potentially nefarious purposes. We talk about lots of other stuff. Maybe Brandon, you can post the full version of the recording out on our Patreon or something later this week.
Yeah, definitely. And I do want to say, what this is my show, right? This is my show and your show. And so one of the things we cut out for today was her confirming definitively that whenever the show is picked up, and it will get picked up, that she will spotlight me as one of the voices of this show.
Yes, that was confirmed. We have audio and video evidence of that happening.
You hear that, Ebet? I'm that's just kidding. So that was our interview. Again, Travis mentioned there's a lot more to be heard about it. But one of the things that we did, not only did we do this episode, this interview, celebrating the 2 million folks in the Reddit, but they also did a contest, and in that contest, a handful of folks, and they put a lot of work into it. They created a thing where if you typed !portal jump, you would randomly either get banned for a few days from the subreddit, maybe banned permanently. I don't know if that was still a thing that they did, or banned for like 30 days. Or you could be an honorary member of the Council of Ricks, which is what they call the mod team. Or you could win a prize. And so 5 folks won sketches by Brian Jordan Newton himself. And then the other person won a signed skateboard from season 1 from Justin Roiland. And so the sketch winners, there was only 4, user Chris Burt, user I'm a Pretty Bad Perron, user Don't Panic 42, user Potatoes Fall. They got sketches of their choice from Brian Jordan Newton. So if you're listening to this podcast, make sure you reply to that Reddit subthread. And then finally, the season 1 crew skateboard winner, which by the way, you probably get a ton of money. There's only a handful of these out in rotation, in population. What do they call it?
Population? Yeah.
A win in Romero the Hut. Win in Romero the Hut. There's a bunch of references in that username. So congratulations to that. In the explanation on the crew, it had become a tradition for each crew from each season to get a skateboard printed with artwork. And yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Last thing I want to do is we can't talk about the subreddit without honoring the moderating team. First and foremost, under username Barnyard Cruise.
Yeah, probably one of the most important moderators, bar none.
Close to him, but not quite, is Justin Roiland.
Yeah, I've heard of him. He's all right. Yeah.
Elastical_Gomez, Zilvian, Clovar, Platinum 4, Zir, Simply EUW, Airborne and Rowdy, Kurtopsy, U-Man. And we've got Hal out there in Discord. We've got a bunch of other folks. These are the people that make things happen. And they've built a community with your help. Yeah, they can't do it alone. They do it with you because we are a community of fans, and that's what makes this whole thing worthwhile to us as well as
absolutely. Yeah. So again, huge thank you to Elastical Gomez for coming on the show, for spilling the behind the scenes dirt, and just talking about what a wild ride it was to get to 2 million subscribers, and that's just the start, because we're still growing. We're still growing out there. So if you are not a Reddit user, stick your toe in the water gingerly, but you can head over to rickandmorty.reddit.com to check out everything that's happening over at the subreddit and become one of the 2 million plus subscribed over there. And I think that's it for the interview portion of the show. We have just one segment left on the podcast, and that's listener suggestions and short outs. I have a very special one that I want to highlight from our Twitch stream, actually, tonight's live stream. Huge supporter and fan of the show, D-Squeeze, letting us know very early in the show that when they go to Verizon stores, they subscribe to all of our podcasts on the phone models. So kudos to you. I don't know if those phones actually end up downloading any of our episodes, but thanks if they do. And that is a really unique and inspired strategy for helping to support our podcast. So thank you so much for doing that. And sorry to anyone that works at a Verizon store that may have to inadvertently hear either of our voices. But if you want to support the show, if you want to help us out, one way that you can do that is to go to Apple Podcasts, suppose if that's a podcatcher that you use, and review the show. If you've not yet given us a review, we'd love to hear what you think about the show. You can give us 5 stars. You can give us 1 star. You can tell us what your favorite meme is from a Rick and Morty subreddit or any other subreddit of your choosing. But yeah, or tell a friend about the show. That's a great way to spread the word. Brandon, we did it. We made another podcast. Back for more interdimensional RSS. Do you have any final thoughts as we close out the show?
My final thought is this: thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for being fellow fans of Rick and Morty. We have a voice only because we did the work and we established an RSS feed and all that type of shit. But we're no better than you. We're one of you, and so we thank you for listening and letting us be a part of this.
Yeah, and this, who knows when the next one of these is going to come out. So if you're in the United States, deadlines to register to vote are closing soon. Go register. Make sure you vote on time. Vote early. Make your voice heard. And hopefully we'll see you for another one of these very soon. Until next time, I'm Travis.
I'm Brandon. Going to get some of that baby's blood.
Bye, guys. Stick around if you're on the stream. We're not leaving. We're going to do a post show. Don't go away, guys.
We're not leaving. I just have to let the music play the entirety. It's a thing. It's part of the editing process.
All right, guys. If you're watching on Twitch and you're not a subscriber, enjoy this commercial. If you are a subscriber, or you're on YouTube, those are your 2 options.
Yeah.
Thanks for supporting on YouTube, I guess. Go to patreon.com/apatheticenthusiasm, where you can get the entire, fully unaltered and un-PC'd version of the interview at patreon.com/apatheticenthusiasm.
Yes. They're so how long was this episode, Travis?
We're pushing an hour and a half.
Okay. All right. The interview with her alone was an hour and a half to hour and 45 minutes.
It was almost 2 hours, yeah.
That's without any of our extra semi-perts or any of our commentary. So there's a lot of extra stuff out there, and we didn't put it all out there. One, because it's maybe not beneficial for her. It's maybe not beneficial for us, and we don't want any Adult Swim people to get pissed off at us so early on when they finally pull their copyright infringement notice away from us, and that people actually want to talk to us.
Yeah. So if you're busy watching an advertisement for a game that you're never going to play, we were explaining that the reason some of that interview was cut up is, one, it was a very long conversation, a good conversation all around, but a little too long for our typical format. And but I think we got some of the best bits out of it. So we did spend a long time talking about that. Not Dan Harmon, or what is it? Real Dan Harmon, not real Dan Harmon.
Yeah, it was not Dan Harmon.
Yeah.
So for the folks who are still here watching and listening, I met the subreddit folks because of the immediately after the season 3 premiere of Rick and Morty, a guy came out on Twitter called not Dan Harmon, and we did an episode about this way back when. It's like one of the first handful of episodes we did, and we talked about it. And we had our own subreddit, the Rick and Morty podcast subreddit, and it's still there, even though we don't do anything with it. We wanted to post stuff in the official subreddit, but it feels weird. It feels weird promoting yourself like that. And we had done that episode, and Elastical Gomez actually hit me up and was like, "Hey, just an FYI, here's what's going on. You guys seem like a couple cool guys. You seem on the level.
Couple wild and crazy guys." That's us.
Here's what's going on behind the scenes with this. And we kind of immediately dropped it, and we never talked about it again, because the folks who were doing that ARG stuff were trying to co-opt the Reddit, and it was honorable what they're trying to do, like establish a game and kind of do this next level type of ARG stuff, but they were doing it unofficially, but they weren't acting like it was unofficial, and it was misleading. So we talked a long time about that, but what we also talked about was that we didn't. The reason she hit me up initially was we don't want to give them a platform to talk about this, to give them any legitimacy.
Yeah.
And there's
well, and they were like trying to do some sort of like charity scam, it sounded like, and stuff. So there was a lot of back and forth about it, but
in the editing for the podcast, I made the determination really quickly. If the point is to not give them any legitimacy, let's not give them any legitimacy, and let's not talk about it at length, which we ended up doing. So on the Patreon, I'll release that audio, but not for the actual.
Not for the public, only for the biggest fans on Patreon.
There's like 5 people watching us right now,
Yeah.
on 70 different platforms. I'm not super afraid of you.
Yeah. And you guys are family. You guys know. When you're here, you're family. That's the truth. Also, how the heck are you guys? Hope you're doing well. Hope life is treating you semi-decent, semi-pertinent. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions. It's been like a whole week since we saw some of you. So,
but it feels different, right? Because we're talking about Rick and Morty now.
Yeah, it's Rick and Morty. It's not. We're not sitting in green boxes, right? We're not sitting in green boxes with the chat way over on the side and all the things falling in the cup.
No.
Like that's a completely different show. We are on Interdimensional RSS where the video is a little bit bigger and the chat is a little bit smaller and the title is way bigger for some reason. Maybe I should
iOS 14, yeah.
Maybe I should rework this layout a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, what are you guys doing? What are you up to? You guys hyped for any new gaming systems coming out? Are you guys jumping on next gen consoles? Are you hyped for Star Wars Squadrons coming out?
Are you getting that?
Squadrons? Heck yes, brother.
You're getting it for the PC though, because you can do VR.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we cross-platform?
I heard there's crossplay. Let me look it up.
Oh, Google it up.
I'm picking it up regardless.
We need more breadsticks on Table Twitch.
What was that game called?
That's called Squadrons. Star Wars Squadrons. Still trying to become a VTuber. Okay.
Squadrons will have crossplay. I'm gonna use the restroom real fast. I'll be right back.
So we talked about VTubing last week, and then like the next day, I downloaded Adobe Character Animator, which is it's an application where you can use like Illustrator or Photoshop to create these virtual puppets, and then it uses your webcam to animate these puppets. And I downloaded it on Tuesday, and then I made like a tiny video for it that I just sent to Brandon, and just to show that it kind of worked. And then I've done nothing else with it. But if I look, maybe I can find that's my Windows File Explorer. Let me see if I can find the video for you guys. I'll show you the test animation that I made. Let me pull it up. Where is it at? Okay, hold on. Okay, there it is. There it is. We gotta make it a good size so you guys can see it. I didn't plan for this. I didn't plan. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do some of this, and we're gonna do some of this. Okay, I'm gonna show them the test animation that I sent to you, Brandon.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go, guys. Oh, hey, Brandon. Look, it's a thing. I'm a cartoon. I'm like a Brandon cartoon with the hair up here. It's crazy. Haha.
Is it going?
Yeah, it's going. It's done. That's it, guys. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing that I made. It was a default character that came in the thing, and it was just me testing the fact that it worked. I think this was the first thing I said. It was just, Brandon, look, I'm a cartoon. But it's a good proof of concept. So you never know. The next episode of one of these podcasts could be hosted by cartoon alter egos. You never know. You never know. But Sire, congrats on working on your VTuber stuff. You did an intro stream yesterday here on Twitch. Is that where you did it? Because we want to see that stuff. But that is fantastic. And yeah, we need to do some VTubing or something. Maybe when we play Star Wars Squadrons on crossplay next week.
Well, here's my big question with Squadrons. It's crossplay, but is it true crossplay where it's only PS, Xbox and PC, or VR, or is it only? Wait, you know what I'm saying?
No, I legitimately have no idea what you're talking about.
Is it true crossplay where it's all the systems you can play with anybody, or is it limited crossplay where it's like Xbox and PC?
Yeah, so PlayStation doesn't always play nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Look, I'm looking at an article here, and the article is from June. When is it? I'll look at the date of the article. It says Star Wars Squadrons will have crossplay for PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and VR players. This means you'll be able to team up with friends and take the skies together, no matter what platform you're all playing on.
It sounds like true crossplay to me.
It does, but this article is from a site that I've never heard of called The Loadout, and I think the article was updated June 22nd, 2020. And that's the thing. That's the thing with Star Wars Squadrons is I haven't seen any like new news from the game since it was announced in June, July.
Yeah, I don't know that I have either. I haven't gone looking for it, but
I have because I'm interested in it.
Yeah, no, I'm interested too.
I want to pick it up. I just don't know which system because I have the PSVR, and I'm interested in just having it to experience it in that way.
Have the option. Yeah. Well, I mean, Fortnite you can play with almost anybody, regardless of system. You can play like Switch versus PC, which seems like a not fair advantage. But
you can do Rocket League with any other platform too, right?
I don't know. I only play Rocket League with you on Xbox at like 2 a.m. That's the only time I play Rocket League. Perfect center.
Perfect center. Last week, my brother-in-law was like, "Oh, it's free now on all platforms. Why don't we download it on the Switch and then we can play it there?" So he could play with my son, his nephew, and so I went, "Oh, that sounds great." So I started downloading it on the Switch, and it was taking forever. It took so long. We ended up not playing it that night. The next day, I realized, oh, it's crossplay. I could have just played it with him on my
You
Xbox.
could literally have played it on any other device. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I got the update, the push notification from Xbox Game Pass saying, "Hey, this game is leaving Game Pass, but don't worry, you can own it for free now." And I was like, I thought I already owned that game, but anyway, whatever. From like way back pre-Game Pass days. So I gotta know, Brandon, where's your head at for next gen gaming? Is the Xbox Series X the priority? Are you looking at PlayStation 5s? Are you on the fence? Are you gonna take your time and wait?
because I know that all those things are sold out everywhere. It's not a consideration in my life at this point in time.
Good. Okay.
Eventually, I will pick up both of them because I have disposable income, and I'm poor with.
And you're horrible with money. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, but I'll probably write it off. So long as I'm losing a ton of money,
Yeah.
I'll be good for my taxes for the next.
I made all these investments in game streaming, and I'm losing money right now. That's all this podcast is. It's an epic write-off for all the money we're losing doing this podcast.
I got told in a Facebook thread, well, that's corporate financing 101, buddy. I'm like, God, I need to take a corporate finance 101 class because evidently all they teach you is how to lose money to make money.
You got to spend money to make money, Brandon. Everybody knows that.
Yeah,
everyone.
That's true. I wish I had more money.
Yeah. And for those of you that are seriously hurting or during this pandemic, I'm sorry. I feel bad for you.
I apologize.
Yeah. For the rest of you, let's buy Xboxes. No, I will not early adopt on those consoles. I have always been an Xbox person. I've never owned a PlayStation console. So for me, it only like makes sense to go Xbox. But I don't know. I haven't been wowed by like the games available for the Series X, and I know that they will come, but for now I can play just as many. I'm not playing a ton of great games on my PC, so it doesn't make sense for me to fork out $500 to not play games on another console.
Yeah, that's true. On the exclusive front, when the Switch first came out, there was maybe like 3 games. None of these are interesting to me. I wasn't like, I have to go out and get this. Oh, I need to play Breath of the Wild right now.
Great game. Don't hate.
Great game. No, I mean, I did play it eventually, and I beat it because it is a good game. But it wasn't enough for me to be like, yeah, let me run out and grab it. Same thing with like PS5 and Xbox. And admittedly, PS5 does have more exclusives out the gate. There's an article on The Verge, and I sent this to you. But for those folks watching, it talks about Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda and how huge that is. But not in the sense that it's huge, they're going to make exclusive games, because Xbox is really it's weird how they Trojan horsed their way around this over the last 2013, 2014, that's when Xbox One came out. When they came out, they talked about always online, all digital. That was their strategy at that point in time, right? And people were like, always online. What if I'm in a bad internet zone? What if this? What if this? And they got lambasted, and they're like, well, Xbox, you suck. Oh, you want this to be an entertainment platform? Fuck you. We want to play games. So Xbox backed off and like, no. Like we're not going to be always online, but we'll offer you ways to do it. Over the last year and a half, 2 years, with Game Pass coming online and people seeing how beneficial that is, how convenient and how easy it is to play so many games for one low price, Xbox has subverted and kind of undercut that initial backlash, and they've come back and they're essentially doing what they wanted to do back in 2014.
Yeah.
Is always online digital downloads, because they are making way more money doing digital downloads in that Game Pass than selling discs, than even selling hardware. If a million people are paying $15 a month for Xbox Live, they don't need to sell fucking games. Buy Bethesda. Bethesda doesn't need to have Xbox exclusives, because the convenience and the ability to get those games at a moment's whim, that's their selling point. And that's really beating PS5, I think. They don't need brand loyalty. They need convenience loyalty.
It's very true. It's very true. And if my living situation was different, where I felt like I could play video games for extended periods of time in my living room, I would rush to buy a console much faster. But I'm not there. That's not where I'm at right now. And I think my son would almost get more use out of a new Xbox than I would. And so maybe, but he loves the Switch. He loves playing on the Switch. So
yeah. I have an Xbox in here. I have an Xbox in the living room.
So do I. I mean, I have an Xbox in here.
And we still don't play it that much.
No.
I played it last night because a coworker was texting me and was like, "Can you help me do something?" And I was waiting for her to respond back. When I said yes, I'm like, playing a game. She didn't respond back, and so that was me playing the game.
That was you playing the game. That's how he plays video games, guys.
Come on, text me back. I'm waiting.
Yep.
I'm gonna sleep. Fuck this.
Yep. I don't know. There's Game Pass. Game Pass has a lot to offer in terms of giving you access to games, especially games that I would never spend full price on. But I'll still play if it's in Game Pass. And then after 3 months, they still get my money either way.
Let me ask you a question. And I'm sure there's studies out here about this phenomenon. Phenomenon. I don't know what it's called, but it's what I realized a couple years back with all the Steam sales, summer, winter, all the sales. Like, oh shit! Oh, there's another Steam sale. Let me buy all these games, and I never play any of them. I have, looking at my Steam library, I've got dozens of games, half of which, maybe even 3/4 of which, I've never actually played. They're just I've wanted to own them. Game Pass gives that same kind of feature, which is there's all these games I have access to. I can play them anytime, anywhere. But I guess I'll play Rocket League again.
Perfect center. Yeah, I subscribe to a what is it? What is the charity?
A Humble Bundle?
Humble Bundle. I used to do a Humble Bundle monthly, where you paid like a flat like $15 or something, and then you unlocked access to like 10 games a month or whatever, and there would be one AAA title or something, one like that was like a year or so old, but it was right after I had built my PC, and I hadn't played games on PC in like a decade. So there were all kinds of older games that I didn't have that I was like, oh, I'd like to try that out. So it was great because I got access to some of those games at a discount, but I also got access to so many games that I like hadn't heard about, never cared to play, and my Steam but I'm still like, well, I got it for free, so I'll enter the Steam code. And so I have so many games in my Steam library that have 0 minutes of playtime, but it's just like, but it's still there because I'm like, well, it looks interesting, but I'll play Fall Guys instead.
So, I mean, look, I want to play it. Someday I will play it. I have games that more recent games where they came out and I was so excited to play them. I'm like, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna finish this game. I have at least 2 games, probably 3. But the 2 that I'm thinking of off the bat are the new Paper Mario Origami King, which I want to finish. I still want to finish. Every time I sit in my living room, I'm like, you know what? Well, let me start it up. And Wasteland 3. Wasteland 3 is the other one I want to finish up. And I don't. The last game I finished up was last night, Carrion, which is like an It type horror game where you are the monster. And my son had gotten to basically the very ending, and then he got stuck, and so then I finished off. Also, Civilization Revolution, he got to a point where I was like, you know, I'll help you, son. And then I advanced all my technology, and I had tanks where they're still in Legionnaires. Instead of playing Origami King or Wasteland 3, doing these things that I know I need to finish. Also, Disco Elysium, that's the other one. It's on Steam, and I don't do any of that because I'm either recording a podcast or preparing for a D&D session or actually spending time with my family.
Yeah, which are all important things to do. Yeah, I was thinking about the other day how for all of the days of early COVID that Animal Crossing like got me through, my villagers have got to be missing me pretty hardcore because I have not opened Animal Crossing in probably a month or 2. So I feel bad for my villagers. I feel bad, that they don't have me to help, donate to bridges or whatever I did back then. So, but yeah, so I don't know. Games are fun. I have differing amounts of time to spend in games, but I want to, and I guess that's why, getting back to like the crux of it, I like Game Pass as presenting the opportunity to play games without the commitment of dropping $60 for something I may never actually play.
Yeah, that probably speaks to the larger bit of subscription services in general, which is, I may not want maybe I won't watch horror movies for a couple months, but at some point in time I want to have the option, and I want to binge it. So I'll subscribe to Shudder. Same thing with Apple TV or HBO Max or any of those other ones. Maybe I'm not actually actively watching those things, but that I have the option to when I'm ready for it. Yeah. Same thing with Game Pass. Instead of me having to go out to GameStop or Walmart or Target, going browsing the video games, like, oh, you know what? I guess I will try Pokemon Sword and Shield, and buying the game and taking it home and then playing it for a day, and okay, well, it's going on my shelf now.
The thing with Sword and Shield is I got it like secondhand from someone, and then I was like, well, maybe, yeah, I want to play it. And then I played it for like a day or 2, and now my son is playing it like crazy. But I don't know. I'll probably revisit it. But at least someone's playing it. At least someone is trying it out. Yeah. Guys, we're about to wrap up. If you have a channel that you think we should raid, let me know. I was about to raid our buddy Vestlord, but he actually just dipped out of his stream. So, yeah, if you have a channel out there, any raid recommendations, let us know. Disco Elysium, 50 States of Fright.
On the Disco Elysium stuff, it's a Steam game. John, our friend John Kaufelt actually told me about it, and it is a very, very, we may have talked about it on the podcast before. It's an adventure game, very heavily text based, in kind of a maybe like a post-apocalyptic type. Maybe not that. Maybe more like authoritarian, fascist, neo noir, Blade Runner esque world. And you're a detective who's a drunk. You wake up and there's a mystery to be solved. And it's very localized in this one town, this one seaside town. It is very very good. The dialogue, the very heavily text based dialogue, is really really interesting. And depending on how you play your character, you either are alcoholic or druggy or like a very pretentious like historian, and you can go different ways with it. And if you're like the druggy, you're some of the dialogue is actually your psyche talking to yourself, like you're
Okay.
talking back
Yeah.
and forth with yourself. It is really a very good game, and the art style is so unique and so great. I do highly recommend that game. I need to finish it.
I'm confused. Sire Dark is getting like auto banned by something that I'm blaming Brandon that
Oh,
he set some auto mod thing.
is
Um, I think it's because he
Yeah, it is.
posted a link to somebody
Twitch.tv/Momo.
Momo, MOMO.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Oh, VTuber, Momo.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, with only 2,900 people. Let's Oh, and they're playing Among Us. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that we'll go ahead and raid them. We'll send all 4 or 5 of you in there.
How do to go meet your mother? Is that what?
How did this get made?
Oh, gotcha. Is that with Lauren Lapkus?
I don't know. Who was the guest on what's the show we talked about on the last AE? Earth to Ned. Second episode, the comedian.
Oh,
Paul Scheer or something.
Paul Scheer, yeah.
Yeah, I got a name right, guys. Yeah, Scheer is in the chat.
June Raphael and Jason Mantzoukas.
Jason Mantzoukas. Hey, dog man. So yeah, I haven't listened to any of those. Do you recommend? Shall I check out? Because I mean, I could use some new podcasts in my life.
It's on Earwolf. It's on the Earwolf.
It's the Earwolf Network, along with Comedy Bang Bong and some of those other ones that I don't pay for. I don't pay for Earwolf at all. I don't get behind the paywalls, but you should support us on Patreon, patreon.com/apatheticenthusiasm. All right, guys, we're going to we're gonna raid Momo, per the banned Sire Dark's request.
He's not actually banned, is he?
No, he just like can't. He's timed out for 2 minutes.
Oh,
So I apologize on behalf of Brandon, and and we will we'll try to get that figured out for you. But stick around, spread the interdimensional RSS apathetic enthusiasm love as we go and raid Momo. Thank you guys for being amazing. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight, and we should be seeing you next week on Monday. So yeah, maybe a stream between now and then. No promises. We'll see. But all right, we're gonna kick this raid off in with all 4 of you streaming Momo in about 3 seconds. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye. I think I fixed the link protection.
Thank you for fixing the link. All right, we're raiding. Bye. And we're raiding.
Oh, look at that VTuber.
Look at that. That VTuber. So hot.
Oh, let's see.
It's probably a guy, right? Like, that's got to be a guy, right?
No,
Thank you so much. I'm gonna say the last part. Rad. Thank you.
It's a very convincing female.
I can try to listen.
Huh.
Momo, use the man voice.
Huh. Yeah, I gotta do. Looks like I've got to get a 3D avatar image.
How could you do this to me?
I'm trying to figure out what all those other voices are on their stream.
Went into the room right in front of you, then the lights dimmed out, and then
Are-
there was a dead body.
Are they just watching someone else play? Or unless it's chat.
I don't know what's going on.
Cool. All right. That's apparently what.
Oh my god, picture-in-picture! I haven't figured out the picture-in-picture thing yet.
Hey, you're coming to the raid.
All right, you're all fuzzy now. Perfect timing.
Man, I don't say this enough. My 2i2 is not in a great place.
Do you say that? Are we still streaming?
Yeah.
I think we are.
I don't say this enough. Oh yeah, we're still streaming on YouTube. All right. Bye,
Yeah.
guys.
Hey,
Bye,
YouTube.
YouTubers. Thanks for watching.